Sonu, we finally had some green out there. Everybody, welcome to the latest Carson's Take 5. Ryan and Sonu. Sonu, you're on vacation last week. I think we just needed you to get back to finally get this market to bounce a little bit. We're going to talk about it in latest
Did
Carson's
I miss
Take.
anything?
Yeah, you did. You missed a lot, it looks like. But the good news, we had a historic day on Wednesday. Stocks gained over 9%. We're going to get into kind of why that happened. But this latest Carson's Take 5, we're going to call it, Will the Good News Last? Because Sonu, again, the S&P, I believe, on a percentage basis, just had its third best percentage day ever, up almost 9.5% in just one single day. The Dow, yes, this is points versus percentages, but the almost 3,000 points in one day, the largest single one-day point gain ever, truly historic. Now, let's not forget, because I know we don't, we were really in trouble heading into this. It was volatile. It was going down. Some of the worst days we've ever seen going into this. What happened on Wednesday that sparked a historic rally?
We got a reprieve. We got a catalyst. We got a catalyst in the form of the White House. Maybe they blinked and it said, you know what? Yep. We are going to pause tariffs for 90 days. And that's usually how these things, I don't want to say, who knows whether this has ended or whatever it is. But, you've done the studies. We've looked at it. That the best days usually follow the worst day. And that's one reason why you shouldn't panic and sell, because then you could miss it, right? And typically there's a catalyst. Policymakers, historically, it's been the Federal Reserve. They come in and say, we're going to support, the economy, which means you're supporting profits, you're supporting markets as a result of that, right? This time the Fed's on the sidelines because of inflation. There's an inflation problem. Inflation's above their target. And so we needed the White House to come in and, pull back. Last night, I'm talking on April 9th, Wednesday, on April 8th, Tuesday night, there was a really scary thing happening in the bond market where people were selling long-term bonds. When you sell bonds, the yields, interest rates go up.
Yep.
That's never a good thing because usually what happens is stocks are going down. You want interest rates to go down, right? And bonds to zig and give that protection. The opposite was happening. I think that was really scary for the folks in Washington, D.C., That's probably why we got a reprieve.
No, well said. So let's put some context around 2025 so far. We were on record coming into this year. We still thought stocks would have a pretty good year. There's still some time, don't get me wrong, but clearly we didn't expect it to be this volatile, to be blunt, this week or this early in the year. We said, maybe a 10 to 13, 14% peak to trough correction at some point during the year made sense. Again, as we just went a whole year without a 10% correction last year. Now, yes, we're flirting with the bear market just recently until this big bounce. Bear market is technically down 20%. Didn't quite get there on a closing basis. Intraday, we hit it a couple times. Bottom line, if you've owned some stocks, if you listen to this, you probably do. It's been a really, really rough go with things. But again, when you have these big up days, can they mark bottoms? I'll just put it like this. In COVID, March 23rd was the low after the 5-week, 34% bear market. The next day, which if my calendar is right, March 24th, the S&P gained 9.4%, and that was it. We just gained 9.5% on this big day. So who knows? Who knows? But again, I guess the question is, Sonu, can this good news keep going? What are some other reasons you think maybe this rally can have some legs here?
I think if the White House pulls back even more.
Yep.
Right now we have a 90-day pause. I mean, part of me is like, do we revisit this issue in 90 days? Hopefully by then they've sorted something out. They've had negotiations, whatever it is. I think everybody needs some certainty, including companies, right?
Yeah.
Like companies are thinking of investing and things like that. If, everyone's talking about, are these policies in place to reshore manufacturing? Okay, fine. If that is the case, then companies need to know that are these tariff policies going to be in effect for much longer than, let's say, 1 year or 3 years or 4 years, right? Because that's what it takes. Like, oh, now I have a factory in Vietnam. I'm going to bring it back because it makes sense to manufacture these goods here instead of Vietnam because it's not cost effective to do that anymore. But 2 years from now, or even 6 months from now, the tariffs go away, then what do you do then with that investment? So I think these are some of the questions companies are going to be dealing with. And remember, we still have a lot of tariffs.
Yes.
Right. We have tariffs on China close to about 120%, something like that.
Yeah. But by the time we're doing this, it might change by the time you listen to it. But yes,
and somewhere then we have over 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum. We have 25% on autos. We have 10% tariffs on, several countries right now, including the European Union, Canada as well. Canada, Mexico, a lot of the goods that are not compliant with the USMCA, which is what replaced NAFTA. That's continuing to be tariffs. So businesses in America still have to pay these tariffs. We have at least for 90 days avoided the worst case, but the current case is, I think, before these reciprocal tariffs were announced on April 2nd by President Trump, the worst case is like, oh, maybe you'll get 20% tariffs, but realistically, I mean, honestly, myself, maybe it's 10 to 15.
Mm-hmm.
We're above that even now. So
Right.
the question is, do we get a reprieve even from those tariffs over the next month, 2 months, 3 months?
Well, hope's not a strategy, as we've said many times, but you've heard from the White House upwards of 70 countries have reached out wanting to try to work on these trade deals. So, over the next 90 days, maybe we get some better news. I was just looking at the calendar. 90 days from now is like July 4th. All right. So I think we need to have a happy July 4th. So maybe we
Yeah.
can get some of this stuff out there. I've said it like this before. If you have a beach ball put under the water, and you let go of it. Once it gets moving, it really gets moving. So we had a beach ball under the water with this near bear market, and honest to goodness bear market if you're in technology and Mag 7, but still a rough go of things. Now we got a little upward reprieve, so maybe we could have a little bit more to go. But like you said, Sonu, we are nowhere near out of the woods of this. We're still in some quicksand, if you will. There's still some clear issues and just uncertainty that's out there. But at least for now, we finally have a little bit of good news. We've got some rallying going on, and maybe you can have a little bit more time to go upwards here and just let us all smile a little bit more, because there hasn't been a lot to smile.
I'm smiling
for us
today.
investors.
I will tell you that.
Yeah, exactly. So with all of that, again, we know there's a lot of places you can go for investment advice, for research advice, and we're really honored that you keep coming back to watch these weekly videos as Sonu and I do on the Carson's Take 5. And for the first time in a while, we actually have some good news to talk about. So it feels a little weird, but it also feels pretty good. So we look forward to seeing everyone next week and hopefully have some more good news to talk about then. Everybody have a great week. Enjoy some green out there. We'll see you next week. Thank you.